don't you tell me how to drive. I know what I'm doing. I know I'm a woman, but I can drive. Like, I was like... Hello everybody and welcome back to my podcast, Esme's Country Life. In today's episode I'm going to be talking about my adventure up to Cheshire and all of the drama and all of the things that went on there. But before we begin, I just want to say a huge thank you to the sponsor of the podcast, Redpost. So Redpost is an equestrian and country store based in the UK, but they also ship all over the world. And if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you will know that this summer, actually coming up very soon now, 29th of June, save the date, I'm doing a meetup at Redpost. So if you want to find out more information about that meet and greet, then go to thisesme.com, or if you want to find out more information about Redpost, then go to redpostequestrian.co.uk, where you can get all of your equestrian needs. But anyway, let's get into what I've been up to lately. So I actually was very kindly invited to the horse show at Bolesworth. So the Bolesworth International Equestrian Festival is its like fancy long name. Now, I have never actually been to Bolesworth before last weekend, and it's always been for like many different reasons. I've either had other jobs that I've been doing then, or it's actually normally it falls on my brother's birthday, so it's actually my brother's birthday this weekend. So whoop whoop, party time. I'll update you in the next episode. But anyway, yes. So they've kind of changed the show a little bit in the way that they have it on for 2 weekends now. So we were there for the first weekend, which was so much fun, but also I've kind of worked with that team for many years because that's the same team that did the Liverpool International Horse Show. So it was actually so nice going back there, seeing everyone, seeing the team, saying hi, especially it's been a long time since that show was last kind of on because like COVID, that kind of thing. So I think last time I was there, me and my dad were comparing about how much has changed since then, because I think it was about 5 years ago. It was 2019 New Year's going into 2020, so we were like, oh my gosh, there's been like a whole pandemic. Like, obviously the channel has grown so much since then as well. I've grown up and all that kind of stuff. So because yeah, back then I would have been 18, I think. So yeah, a lot has changed, a lot has gone on. I've got 2 more horses since then as well, so that was quite cool. But anyway, we didn't have the best journey on the way up there, I cannot lie. So the M40 motorway was closed. Now, as you guys know, I am very good at sleeping in cars, vehicles, planes. Actually, I have slept, I can sleep anywhere. If I am tired, or if, I lie down and close my eyes, I can get to sleep in 5 minutes. Like, that is my superpower, that is my skill. It is like time traveling. So anyway, as you would in a long car journey up north, I decided to have a little nap in the car. Actually, this is a funny story. So me and my dad, as you guys know, we worked together. So he was doing the driving. Don't worry, I didn't just fall asleep in the car while driving. But a lot of the time, because my dad is driving, I don't know if some families or some people have it differently. Like some people, like if I'm the driver, I get to choose the music. We get to listen to my playlists. But my dad is a girl dad, and he has to listen to all of my very girly music choices. So anyway, recently, Sabrina Carpenter, she has been killing it in the music industry and that kind of thing. So I was like, oh, we'll listen to like some of her songs. Like she's got a few bangers that have just come out of nowhere. I say come out of nowhere. She was a Disney Channel kid, so it's actually some of her old songs I used to jam out to. Anyway, moving swiftly on. So I put on like Spotify, I put on just like a Sabrina Carpenter playlist. Anyway, within 5 minutes I was asleep, and my poor dad was just driving up in the car, and apparently he listened to like almost like 2 or 3 albums of her, of just Sabrina Carpenter. So today's podcast episode is going to be very much girl dad, because I have lots of other girl dad kind of stories for you all, because you guys really enjoyed the last one where I was saying how my dad is very much like a teenage girl in like pop culture. Like he knows all the things that are going on, all the things that, I don't know, people keep up to date with, like fashion, beauty, that kind of stuff. So anyway, I just found that really funny, because I woke up like an hour or 2 later and he was still listening to Sabrina Carpenter. So there we go. But also, because the motorway was closed, I woke up and I was very disorientated, because normally, when I wake up and we're on a motorway, I wake up and we're still on a motorway. But no, because it was closed, it felt like we were driving through people's back gardens. We were in like Oxfordshire kind of area, and to be fair, can't lie, Oxfordshire, very, very pretty. Lots of very pretty houses. So we were kind of like in Clarkson's Farm kind of land, like going around all these really nice stone buildings. I was like, where are you? It felt like at first that I'd been like kidnapped, because I was like, where am I? Where are we going? I knew that we were in Oxfordshire because they have very like pretty stone kind of houses, and I know my UK landmarks. I'm pretty good. I know quite a lot of UK areas, and I was like, why are we here? Where are we going? And my dad was like, yep, the motorway's closed. And I looked at the clock and we still had like 5 hours or something ridiculous to get there. And I was like, oh, at least I was asleep during the boring part. And the issue with that was actually because of the bad traffic and everything, we all, like literally everyone was going down these back roads, and it also meant that everyone was stuck in a car for a long time. So everyone also all went to the same service station. Now, me and my family, as I said before, we do a lot of long car journeys for my job. So we have like a full on like TripAdvisor. Well, we don't actually TripAdvisor register them, but on my notes app on my phone, which is just where I store everything, I'm very weird like that. We rank service stations, and sometimes like we change the rank if we've been there like multiple times. Sometimes they go up, sometimes they go down, because you know every service station experience is a little bit different. And the problem was everyone had been in traffic for a long time, so everyone was bursting for the toilet. So it was like a free-for-all in the car park. Everyone was trying to park, we were trying to get our spot, and then it was trying to rush to the toilet, and then we had to wait in a queue. And luckily I was okay, but my dad, he really needed to go, so he did a little run in, which was quite funny. But service stations, this is also, when you have long car journeys, I feel like you always have the weirdest conversations. Sometimes they're the best conversations ever, but there's always weird ones. And me and my dad have this thought, and I don't know if we're just both very weird, and this is just how our brains work because we're both half the same as each other. But we always, and my mum finds this really weird when we say this, because she doesn't think this at all. But whenever I go to like a service station or like, I don't know, restaurant sometimes, I always think, if I was locked in this room or in this building, how long could I survive? And I don't know why, but I always think of it with service stations, because I can't remember what podcast it was, but there was this podcast I used to listen to years ago, and they would do this thing where they would ask podcast guests, how much would someone have to pay you to spend a month living in a service station? And I feel like there are lots of different answers to this question, because number one, it depends what service station it is, because there are some service stations that we've been to which is literally like a car petrol station garage or like kind of place where it's just like a little toilet that they unlock for you around the back. That sort of service station, no thank you. Like, it would have to be a lot of money, because you know, at the end of the day, time is the one thing that is the most valuable when you think about it, because you can earn more money, you can get more things, but time is the one thing that is limited, that you don't really have much control. Sorry, this is getting really deep. This is like my little funny country horsey podcast, and I'm like, time is so important. Sorry. Anyway, so moving on. But yeah, so I guess it depends which service station it is. Don't know if I've told you before, but Rugby Services, that is the ultimate, hands down, god tier service station. That is the best if we are ranking service stations, because they have everything. It's the biggest one that I've been to. We have an electric car, so they always have an electric car chargers. They have like loads. I think they have like 24. They probably have more now since they've last been there. But we normally go to that one if we go to Alton Towers, because I'm a girl who loves a theme park. But anyway, that's that one. But I haven't been there very much. It's not like our regular, it's not our go-to, but if we do get the opportunity to go there, we go there. But yes, they have like so many different food. It feels like going into a shopping mall a little bit, although they don't have like, you know, clothes shops, that kind of thing, but they just have, it's like a big old food court, but huge, and it's very new and very swanky. Anyway, so that's my little service station interlude. But I feel like at service stations, I love people watching in a service station, because a lot of the time actually I'm sitting there having my breakfast in the morning while, you know, halfway on the way to somewhere while we're charging up. But it's so fun because there are lots of different types of people that you see at a service station. It's a little bit like an airport, like where anything goes. There are people there on a long car journey where they're just in their pajamas, like you go for it. I have definitely been a pajama person while at a service station. Actually, I think it was when we went to badminton. We left at like 4 a.m, so I was wearing a summer dress, and I put a summer dress on, and then because it was cold, I put joggers on underneath and then a hoodie over the top. I looked like I looked very strange, but don't worry, I did take my joggers off before I went into the service station, because if not, it would have been like, what in the Disney Channel outfit is going on here? But anyway, so yeah, there's people in their pajamas. It's also quite fun. Sometimes you see a lot of hen-dos, like people going on a girly trip somewhere. There's a lot of like blokes going on like a holiday away, so you can always be like, oh, that's a lad's trip. There's like families with their kids, and maybe they're like going on holiday somewhere. There's also all of the suit bros that I like to call. So there's all the guys like in their suit and tie because they've maybe got a business meeting and they're just stopping off halfway on their journey for like a little coffee or something. Or sometimes you see people that are maybe like, especially like Christmas time, maybe driving up to see their family. Like I always like to look at people and be like, I wonder where they're going, I wonder what they're doing, because sometimes, I don't know if anybody else thinks this, sorry, I've said that so many times in this episode already, you must be getting sick of it, but sometimes I'm just like, how are all these people real people? Like it's almost like you're walking around and they're like NPCs. Like you don't seem like you could be a real person. But it's so weird when you think about it. Like everyone has a backstory, everyone has like so many stories to tell, the people that they know and that kind of thing. So wild how many people there are out there. Anyway, so sorry, that was my service station interlude. Now getting to the hotel. So we were actually really lucky. We stayed in a very nice hotel near to where Bolesworth was. Now this hotel, it was huge, it was pretty big, and I don't know why. Normally I feel like I have a very good sense of direction, but I was tired. I was gonna say I was jet lagged. I was not jet lagged, I was still in the same country and time zone, but you know when you like sleep in the car and then you wake up and you're just a bit disorientated. Anyway, our room was like up some stairs, down some corridors, round some stairs, and I just kept getting lost. Like my dad kept baiting me in the sense where he'd be like walking along and then I'd like obviously follow him, but like, no, we're not going this way, and I'll be like, he was like, do you actually know where you're going? And I was like, no, I just kept walking in the wrong direction. So that was quite funny. But our quote, we sometimes have like a quote of the trip, and this is actually our quote of the trip when we went to Kentucky, and I don't think I told you this story, but basically I had these pair of trousers. They're a pair of white linen trousers, and they're like really baggy, really comfortable, and I love wearing them on long car journeys or trips, because especially if I'm going maybe somewhere a little bit nicer and I need to look presentable when I arrive, especially if I'm working or I'm meeting people that, you know, I'm working for. I don't want to like turn up looking super scruffy, so they are my go-to. I need to look smart, but also want to be comfortable. But because they are quite baggy, and I used to not be about the baggy life, you know, I'm still a girl who loves wearing a pair of skinny jeans. I know they're not in fashion, but if you're a country person, they're great for putting with boots and wellies and that kind of thing. But it's taken me a little while, like when everyone started going to mom jeans, or I never know how to say that correctly, like I'd say mum jeans because we're British, but everyone goes mom jeans because like the mom rather than the mum. But anyway, or like wide leg trousers, that kind of thing. I have now been converted. It took me a little while, but whenever I wear them, I just feel super cool. I feel like one of those cool girls. But there was this one time, and I said to Dad, I feel like Lewis Hamilton, because he always wears, he's like a fashionable, actually some people would debate if he's fashionable or not, like everyone has different fashion tastes, but like he's a guy who's into fashion. And I just said to my dad, straight blank face, I just said, because you know I'm also that person where me and my dad both do this thing where we both think about things and then we'll just say something and we'll forget that we haven't just been having a conversation in our head. Like I'm very much like walking around in my own little dream world. Like sometimes my dad will just start talking about something and I'll have to kind of try and connect the dots of what he's talking about, because we'll have like a little conversation, and then, you know, when you've been with someone your whole life, you don't really like, you're not always like constantly chatting, like you have a little awkward, when I say awkward pause, not really that awkward, we just kind of like sit in silence and think about things or listen to the radio, and then he'll just start talking about something completely random. I'm like, who are we talking about now? What are we talking about? I'm just like, what? But anyway, so I had that conversation in my head because I was thinking about fashion, that kind of thing, and I just out of the blue, out of random, just said, I feel like Lewis Hamilton. And then from then on, whenever I wear those trousers, my dad just looks at me and goes, do you feel like Lewis Hamilton? And it just becomes a joke. So from then on, and like also I feel like that when I have my big sunglasses on as well. So every now and again, my dad would just, on this trip, and it would just turn around and go to me, do you feel like Lewis Hamilton? So there we go. That was our little in joke. But yeah, I'm trying to think of more girl dad stories. The other he's looking at me like, girl, no, what are you on about? The other thing that we were joking about, we had when we were having dinner that evening, there was a waiter who looked exactly like Timothée Chalamet, and my dad was like, oh my gosh, should we go and say hi to him? Do you want to go and ask for a selfie? I was like, no, that's so weird. He was like, oh, like he was like, oh, go and say hi to Timmy. I was like, no, like, you know when your parents are just like really embarrassing. He was doing that, so there we go. No, so yeah, I'm trying to think of more girl dad things, because I do have my little, you guys know, I have my little list on my phone. I think that is all the girl dad things for now, but I will keep you updated. So there we go. But no, sorry, back to Bolesworth, the actual topic. We've had a whole service station interlude. You guys know me. I love a good ramble. I love a good chat about random things. I once had one mum come talk to me at the not a podcast, at a meet and greet, and she was so lovely. She was like, I love the podcast, that kind of thing. She's like, do you know why I love the podcast? Because you just talk about random stuff and it's all rubbish, but I absolutely love it. And I was like, I'm gonna take that as a compliment. But it's also really sweet hearing the amount of you guys that listen to the podcast, like wherever you are. Like I know a lot of families listen to it together on long car journeys, or there was this one dad at my meet and greet at Bolesworth, and he was saying how him and his daughter, whenever the podcast comes out, they come together, they get loads of snacks, they sit down and they listen to it together, and it's kind of like their father-daughter time. So I don't normally do shout outs, but if that's you, then hi. But anyway, so I just thought that was really sweet. Also, yes. Anyway, that was my little interlude. Sorry, back to Bolesworth. So anyway, yes, first time there. If you want to know what it's like, it is a very pretty show. So it's set in the Cheshire countryside. So again, another very pretty place, and it's at Bolesworth Castle. So it's beautiful because you have the big kind of international arena, or the castle arena, and there's a moat that actually goes around the outside, which is very cool, and it almost feels like it's in like a little bowl kind of thing. And then you have the beautiful view of the castle in the background, and there's loads of other different arenas and warm-up arenas and that kind of stuff. But yes, I was there mainly doing meet and greets, so I was very busy while I was there. I was like here, there, everywhere. So my kind of like, this is my show routine, if you want to know. So my show routine when I'm working at a show is arrive, get my press passes. And sometimes it's a little bit like the chicken and the egg, because when you work for media, you have to pick up your media passes from the media centre, but in order to get into the show, you need your media passes. So sometimes someone will come out and give them to me. Other shows, we're like, here's an email saying that we're working for you guys, please let us in, we need our media passes. And they're like, yeah, that's fine. Or sometimes they're like, no, you are not allowed in, you cannot come, you need to have your press passes. And we're like, but they're in the show, how do we get to it? But anyway, so that was all good. Got in, got our media passes, had a little hi to the team, always have like a morning coffee as well and snack. And then often me and my dad go out there, and basically before the show gets busy, we do all the filming, we do all the photos. So do a little few pieces to camera, with a little microphone, talking about what's happening that day, what's to come, that kind of stuff. And then we'd take lots of photos as well. And then we'd go back to the media centre, get the laptop out, edit the photos, post them, edit the footage and put that out. And then it's straight into meet and greets. So I actually did two 2-hour meet and greets. So each day I did 4 hours of meet and greets, which I would say is probably about my max, because don't get me wrong, I love meeting you guys and it's the highlight of my trip. I love hearing like stories about you guys and what you get up to, or what your favorite videos are, or who's your favorite horse, and it's like meeting a friend and having a conversation. But after talking to that many people, I do get a little bit tired. So, and also when I meet you guys, I want to be my like happiest, bubbliest kind of normal self, and I always want to make sure that I'm excited to meet the first person, as excited, wait, that does not make sense, sorry, I'm trying to do proper English. I want to be as excited to meet the last person as I am to meet the first person. So anyway, lots and lots of meet and greets, and then in between my meet and greets I was doing loads of interviews. So I did one interview on the first day, on the Saturday, and that was for Ladies' Day, so that was in the VIP area, talking about sort of equestrian businesses, so that was very cool. And then the second interview I actually did in the Castle Arena, in the kind of international arena, and that was live. And anyway, that interview was with Eamon McGowan, and we were basically just talking about the show, what I'd been up to at the show, that kind of thing, which I used to get really nervous for those things, especially as I think that second interview I didn't even know I was doing until like an hour before. They were like, hey, how would you like to do an interview in the international arena or the Castle Arena in front of everyone? And I was like, yes, that is fine, I can do that. Yes, I mean, I am here to work. So and I used to get really like a little bit, you know, if you're going to be interviewed live, you want to make sure you say the right thing. But nowadays I've done so many things like that, and you know, it just seems like normal now. And also I think doing the podcast has been such a great thing for me, kind of confidence wise, I guess. Not that I was not confident before, but as if you've watched my videos for a long time, you will know that my confidence has definitely grown with talking to the camera and talking to people and doing ride interviews and that kind of thing. As you know, I've grown up, you know, I started doing this when I was like 15, 16. So but yes, so there we go. I was just like, yep, sure, let's go. Because at the end of the day, if you're all shy and that kind of thing and quiet, then it's just going to seem awkward. So I always say, if you're nervous or whatever, you just have to be your 110% self and just go for it. And yeah, so, and it's just like having a chat with a friend, really. And that's just how you have to see it when it comes to interviews or big scary things. Like, at the end of the day, just pretend they're your best bud and you're having a chat, and you know, what could go wrong? So there we go. So that was really good. Oh, I haven't even told you about the highlight of the show, and that is the ride and drive. Now, if you don't know what the ride and drive is, basically it's this competition they do at Bolesworth, which I have got to say, I think this is my favourite class. It's not like a big international competition. It's like one of those little fun ones that they do at the end of the day in the evening. Now, I was paired with Jay Hallam. Now, I am really, really good friends with Jay. He is the most lovely person, but he is also very, very competitive. And apparently this class, he's won like 4 or 5 times or something ridiculous. And they do a similar thing at Bolesworth as well called the mini major, where basically a professional rider goes around and jumps a course of jumps, and then they get like a young rider to go around and jump a smaller course of jumps. But anyway, sorry, and apparently he's done very well at those as well. So anyway, the pressure was on. So for the ride and drive, Jay had to go around and jump a course of jumps. Then he had to jump off his horse. A groom would hold the horse, and then he had to run, jump over a human-sized fence, run, get into the car, which I was driving, and the tip was I wasn't allowed to go until he'd put his seatbelt on and shut the door. So he was like, Ez, don't look at me. Don't worry about what I'm doing. I will say go when it's time to go. And I was like, okay. So I was very nervous. I was bricking it because, number one, this was like my first time competing in an international arena. So there we go. And competing at a horse show this big. I mean, I've competed at Hickster before, but that was on like a Friday morning very early in like an 80 centimetres pony club class. So I feel like that doesn't really count. I'm not like a big competition competing kind of person, but I can be quite competitive. So anyway, and the whole day, Jay was like, okay, here are the tactics. Here are the things. We're going to win. We're going to do this. Let's go. And what was even worse, my dad, the whole day, was bigging me up. He was like, oh, Esme's such a good driver, which normally he does not say that. My dad is normally the backseat driver of all backseat drivers. I'll be like a smidge too left on the road. He'll be like, you're not in the centre of the road. Or like, I might be going like a tiny bit too fast. And he'll be like, oh my gosh. So whenever he does the smallest mistake when he's driving, I make the biggest. Like the other day, he hit a curb and I did not let him. He's been hearing it still. I'm like, do you remember that time you hit a curb? That kind of thing. So, but also he's not a very good passenger. He hates being driven by anyone. He could be driven by a world-class driver and he'd still be like, no. But he's looking at me because he's like, Ez, give me some credit here. So he actually used to work in the motorsport industry and drive race cars. So My dad, he's done it all. So this is, I've embarrassed him a lot talking about him listening to Sabrina Carpenter. So now is my time to big him up a little bit. So he was giving me all the tips. So I had Jay in one ear being like, we've got to win, we've got to go fast. And I had my dad in the other ear being like, okay, so you need to do this racing line. You need to go wide here. You need to go tight here. You need to break into the corners and then speed up out of them. Like all of this kind of stuff. And I was like, guys, calm down. This is a fun competition. It's a friendly one. Like it's all good. So anyway, my dad had been bigging me up to Jay, being like, oh yeah, we used to do he acted like I was some sort of karting champion when literally like we went a few times as a family to a local karting place because my brother's really into cars and that kind of thing. And then he was like, oh yeah, Esme used to always win because she'd drive so dirty and she would like knock Max, my brother, off the track and that kind of thing. Just her way of winning was just pushing him off. And I can't really deny it because it's the truth, but I was only a teenager, a kid at the time. So, and you know, it's the older sibling thing to do. It's a rite of passage. But anyway, also my dad's an only child, so he wouldn't understand. You know, if you have a sibling, you know that sibling rivalry and competitiveness. Anyway, so what was I saying? Ride and drive. So I had a lot of pressure, and then my dad was going around telling everyone that was going to be amazing. So I luckily wasn't the first to go. There was actually quite a few people in front of me, and I was like I was watching everybody. I was seeing like where people were like maybe losing control of the car a little bit or skidding. What was quite bad though, it was good because I was kind of near the middle end, so I got to watch people. I got to see where they were struggling, what looked quick and what wasn't. But also it was bad because the arena started to, you know, cut up a little bit where everyone had been racing and racing around. So anyway, also Jay was petrified because my dad had been like, oh yeah, she's great, everything like that. And then I didn't realise what time the coursework was because I was busy doing meet and greets and things and other worky bits. And I got to the coursework with like 5 minutes to spare. So I was there in a dress. And if you were watching me, I apologise because I gave myself the ick. But I had to run around this course in this dress last minute doing this coursework. And Jay was like, do you know where you're going? Oh my gosh, like you haven't even done a proper coursework. Like I thought you were going to be here like in advance, like your dad said that you're so good. And I was like, Jay, gotta trust the process. You're gonna trust me on this one. So anyway, I got to actually talk to a few people about how it went. And no cameras on set. Naughty turn, not cameras, phones. Turn your phone on silent. Thank you. Actually, that might have been my phone. I say that. Anyway, moving on. So I was talking to my friend Daisy, and she'd been around, and she was saying how the apparently like the seat, because obviously there were lots of different people sitting in the driver's seat, and she said that she didn't have enough time to adjust her seat so it was in the right position, so it was like quite far back for her. So I was like, okay, I need to do this game plan. I need to get in. I need to put the seat in the correct place. It's going to be fine. And she said also that the person, because there was the car company that it was like sponsored by kind of thing, one of the guys was in there because, you know, they wanted to make sure that you weren't gonna like just crash the car or that kind of thing, and he was apparently there to help you and say what lines you need to go, where you need to speed up or slow down. And she was saying that apparently the whole time he was like chatting to her, like being like, no, this way, left, like that kind of thing. But with me, I think he knew that I meant business, because I got in that car. The first thing I did was actually, as soon as the previous person got out of the car, while the interviewer was still interviewing the person as she was getting out, I was there, I was ready, I leapt in that car, I adjusted my seat, and he was like, have you ever driven, because it was an electric car, he was like, have you ever driven an EV before? And I just said, yes, I know what I'm doing. I was proper girl boss. Don't you tell me how to drive, I know what I'm doing, I know I'm a woman, but I can drive. Like, I was like, I was in my car. I felt like such a girl boss anyway. So I got in, adjusted my seat, was ready to go. Jay came running in, jumped in, said go. And when I tell you, I put my foot flat to the floor. And, you know, as I said before, we have electric cars. So I've driven electric cars before. I know how to handle them. And this guy did not say a word. He was like, okay, this girl means business. She knows what she's doing. And I can't lie, I actually did pretty well, actually. I don't want to, toot my own horn, but I had so much fun. It was such an adrenaline rush, and I felt like I had the perfect level of drift without drifting out too much, and also getting the racing line, speeding out of the corners. And I'd say I did pretty well. Actually, I tell you what, Jay was absolutely gutted. He was proper beating himself up because he had a pole. He was going super competitive, went for a really tight one, and just didn't get it in the end, unfortunately. But apart from that, the rest of his round was brilliant. He was definitely the best at getting off the horse, running over the jump, and getting in the car. Like, he was super efficient with that. He also knew that a lot of people, when they get in the car, I don't know if I should be saying this, because if I enter next year, I don't want my competitors to listen to this, because we've got tactics, and we were also doing it for Team Voltaire Design, because we're both Voltaire Design sponsored riders, so it was quite funny. Like, all the riders and things were in like different teams, so that was quite cool. But anyway, his tactic, I will say it, was a lot of people, when they get in the car, they think, quick, get the seatbelt, put it across. But if you do that, if you think about a seatbelt, if you quickly pull it, it jams or it locks, so you can't do it properly. So he knew to do it at a good pace, to click it in, and he was very good at like getting in, shutting the door. But yes, we would have come second. No, we would have won, actually. They did, I think they messed up something. So anyway, we would have won if Jay hadn't got a pole. So all I'm saying is, ride and drive next year. We're going to smash it. We're going to do it. Because I had so much fun. But yes, that was kind of my trip at Bolesworth, really. That's everything that really happened. I had a fabulous time. It was very fab. But yeah, that was Bolesworth, really. Also, I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone that came to my meet and greets, because at first I wasn't sure how many people would come, because I haven't really done too many meet and greets up in that part of the world or country. So it was really lovely to meet you all, especially as a lot of people I hadn't met before. Like, some of you guys I recognise, or you come to multiple meet and greets and that kind of thing. So it was really lovely to see you all. Also, I just want to, I don't normally, as I said before, give shout outs, but there was this one family that flew all the way over from the US just to meet me, just to come to Bolesworth, just to come and say hi. So yeah, you guys win the award, the people who have travelled the furthest. So yeah, thank you very much. They also were saying how actually the day after they were driving down to Redpost after watching my videos and that kind of thing, and they were going to go shopping there and have some fun in Devon. So if you're listening, I hope you had a lovely time in Devon and in the UK. But anyway, talking about Devon and Redpost, another reminder that I really am not doing many meet and greets this summer. So I've done like kind of my US tour, and then yeah, I've got my Redpost meet and greet, and then hopefully Team Scotland, I'm coming for you. So look out for that for more information this summer. But apart from that, I'm not doing any more meet and greets really until the autumn in the UK. So for me, I think the plan is I'm going to have a summer of filming lots of fun YouTube videos with the horses, and a very horsey summer. So yes, also I'm that person where I'm like, hate to be that YouTuber, but I do have lots of top secret projects. Oh, I can actually tell you one thing, which I'll be talking about in next week's episode. But on the day that I'm recording this, tomorrow, I'm going to London for the Bridgerton premiere, which I'm a big Bridgerton fan, and I'm so excited. So I'm gonna have to update you all that in the next episode, so look out for that one. But anyway, thank you so much everybody for listening to today's podcast episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. It's definitely been a little bit more of a rambly one, but they're sometimes my favourite ones actually. Let me know what your favourite service station is in the comments if you're listening on a platform where you can comment. And yes, thank you again to Redpost for sponsoring the podcast. Go and check them out for all of your equestrian needs, and I'll see you all next time. See ya. Bye.